I'm so happy to be here with Roland Carter and Candace Johnson, who are going to be leading our workshop on June 19th, which is Juneteenth. We're very excited. This is our second annual Juneteenth choral celebration with Candace. And Dr. Carter, it's such a thrill to be doing your piece, and we were involved in the commission of this piece, which is being performed by 21, did you say? 21 different choirs? That's very exciting. And it's a piece that honors Congressman John Lewis, the great civil rights icon who has really had such a deep impact on all our lives. And so it feels to me like a really great chance to celebrate the second federal Juneteenth holiday with honoring Congressman Lewis.
Well, the piece came to mind to me in that I am a preservationist first, okay? And much of what I do, my writings, my settings, are based on music of the African-American history or culture of the spiritual, especially. And I chose, actually, I didn't know this is where the piece was going initially. That wasn't the idea. The idea was simply to do a piece which reflected the African-American culture and also blend the kind of choral things that I usually do. I didn't have a subject particularly, but came upon it when reading about John Lewis. I was listening to one of his biographies. I'm an audible person, so I listen to lots of things that way. And a friend sent me a list of quotations from by John Lewis, and that was contained in that were contained in his speeches. So, and that's where I got the idea and then I decided I would write a spiritual, or indeed write a theme based in the pentatonic idea of the pentatonic scale and the rhythmic aspect of the spiritual. And driving down the highway, where I do a lot of my recording and ideas I get, because you well know, if you don't catch them at that moment, it's gone forever. So I do a lot of recording in my car on the highway. But that is how the piece came about. And actually, I saw the description of the other composer who had been commissioned by the Chorus America to do a consortium piece. And she was doing something on Rosa Parks and some other iconic people. So I fell in line. That's what I did. So,
right. That's terrific. I'm actually curious if you'd go a little bit deeper for those of us who aren't as familiar with the formal structure of spirituals. You mentioned pentatonic scale, and that there are specific rhythmic characteristics of spirituals. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Well, just the basic structure of a spiritual. I've been collecting them forever. Been singing and collecting them forever, having just become an octogenarian. But this is what I started out doing. And the idiomatic idea of the spiritual, of course, the syncopations with the rhythms, the relationship, the call and response organization, which has influenced all music since people, I mean, from jazz to ragtime, right on, all American rhythm and blues, and everybody's doing call and response. You know, we may not recognize it necessarily as that, but that idea with a slight syncopation, because I have some firm beliefs about syncopations that in the spiritual, I think sometimes performers tend to overdo. They tend to make the accent more of an accent than it should be, and actually interrupt the flow of the rhythm by doing so. And I'm not sure everyone will understand where I'm going with that, but that syncopation is very, very, very important to me. And the rhythm does not have to be complicated, but my approach to rhythm is not necessarily the accents on 1 and 3, not necessarily the accent on 2 and 4. I think what happens in the performances of spirituals, for the most part, is people put too many beats and measures. And I only use one beat a measure. It's a rocking chair thing I got from Hall Johnson in my experience with him. You rock forward and you rock back. Sometimes you go a little farther back than you want to go, and then sometimes you come right down on the beat. So there's a flow, there is a flow that's not necessarily specific, metronomic.
Yes.
You see, it's not necessarily there, but well,
but it's
I
that
don't
rocking.
explain.
That
Yes,
rocking,
yes,
that's right.
yes.
That's
that
really,
rocking.
that's, you know, I was listening to some of the recordings on YouTube, and not only really enjoying the genuine celebratory characteristic of choral singing with spirituals, but also the connection, especially with your conducting, with choral sound, which is, to me, doesn't matter what the style is, it's the sound of voices in tune with each other and dynamically controlled and really creating this gorgeous, you know, choral sound that is universal to us all, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed. And I talk about choirs who sing all the notes and all the rhythms correctly and all the notes and never make music. You know, that's the thing that bothers me tremendously. Just singing right notes and right rhythms will not take the music off the page. Right. And that's why I leave a freedom with my conductors to bring part of themselves to the music and don't try to do what I have imitate what I've put on paper or try to conceive what I had in mind. Just let the music speak to you and let you say something. I think the words, the text of this is so important to me. Make some noise, get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. And someone in one of the choirs said, well, it's a very political statement. It's not a political statement at all. You know? And one choir member, one of the choirs didn't want to participate, I think, because he said that it was too political and the text was too political. And I never really understood that. But
well, it's certainly, to my mind, it's a human statement. It's like, let's live as fully as we can.
It is indeed. And I think my best writing in the piece is in the probably the second section, which talks about defending the soul, redeem the soul of the nation. Yeah. And let your power Oh, be your guide. It's a search your heart for what it says and answer your heart. That's
Well, I just can't wait to hear it. Candace, you've already been working on this piece. Can you tell us a little bit about your reactions and what you're finding and working with it?
Sure. Well, as soon as I played the first couple of chords, I was like, this is the mood. It grabs you, and it's just immediately declamatory. And we
oh
have that,
wow.
we have that opening it's declamatory, and then that part that you were just talking about, the second section that goes into this just fluid beauty river kind of thing about the heart,
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yes, and then probably my favorite part because of the rhythmic complexity is that third section.
That's the closest I'll get to hip hop, I think. But anyway, that's what I was trying to do.
I love
But
it.
I'm going to rewrite that section with. Actually, I'm going to write a rap above that section.
Exciting.
After the repeats get going, I'm going to
Yes.
take John Bush's words and
Cool.
try to write out a short rap session.
I love that idea. Mm-hmm.
But did you get? I'm curious. I didn't make mention of the thematic thing I opened with, but there are 4 notes there. Da 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 da. Did you get that? You know where that comes from?
Ooh.
The piano. After you say trouble, and the piano go da 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 da.
Yeah. Okay, so I recognize it orally as something that I said to myself, what is that from? But then I said, well, it's a motive that
Yeah.
the way there's something about it that I've seen before, but I've heard it before, but I can't identify
Well,
it. I'd love to hear you tell me.
you would have heard it 100 times. I mean, with your work with spirituals, because it's just a minor third repeated. I mean, which occurs in a whole lot of spirituals, but the main thing rhythmically for me was God's Gonna Trouble.
Woo! I love this. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking. Oh, yes. I can
Yeah, for
actually.
wade in the water, and then you talked about the fluidness of the writing and the stuff. I said, okay, that
Oh,
and even inverted, it's still God's Gonna Trouble. Yeah. So
that's genius.
oh,
Yes.
you're kind. You're kind.
Oh, and it brings to mind. You remember Margaret Bond's piano piece,
Sure,
Trouble?
absolutely.
Yeah. And now I'm feeling like I need to go look at that and see the
Maybe I
relationship
need
there.
to go look at it. I hope I didn't steal anything.
I know you didn't, but I just want to see the connection. That's
No,
great.
I always like to quote a spiritual if I can that has meaning, not just any spiritual, but it has to reflect the text. Text becomes an important part of what I do. And I like in doing art songs, or what I call my solo spirituals art songs, because I like the play of the piano with the voice and the interpretation of the words that the piano and the voice try to
Yes.
bring back. So that's important.
Yes. You said that words are really important. And so in that third section where we get this layering of text with this rhythmic complexity, And the phonemes that we get the s and ch, that kind of sibilant with the ch, all of that
Right.
kind of explosive sound from the mouth. It sounds like people, even if they don't get every single word, the sensibility to me is, hey, I gotta tell you something. We gotta do something about this. I don't, it's
Yes,
exciting that
yes.
way.
And
Did you think that?
that's the idea. That's why I want the audience to be involved. I want them to pick a line and sing a line too. The audience, they can see something, do something, say something any way they want to during this process. And it's just that's an important
Yeah.
part of it.
Yes.
Well, that's one of the reasons that it's so exciting that everyone who's coming to this workshop, whether they're coming in person or singing online, is participating live. So that'll really be great for people to have those options of choosing sort of whether they're singing one of the lines, Candace, or maybe just adding improvisation in that section. Is that appropriate?
Improvisation is important, yes. And it's only a 4-measure phrase, and that's that, and it's just repeated at different levels or different.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's going to be really fun.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And then another question that I have is, I do hear this marriage of the Black music or the Black vocal tradition, and then also the traditional choral approach to singing. How much is okay in your estimation to bring out that contrast?
Oh, I think I tried actually between the second section about Redeem the Soul of America, which is rather straight choral writing, and then I get to the little semi-spiritual gospel section at the end. Make some noise, get in trouble, good. And I really tried to put a little gospel in the accompaniment. So
I heard that.
That doesn't bother me. Somebody can just go right on and just take it off the page. I think perhaps my tempi might be a little fast, and that's where I want people to feel comfortable. Don't feel driven, because if you do that, even this third section with the repeated too fast, you lose the sense of that. That's why I do the rocking chair. Make some noise, get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. So I may have indicated a much too fast tempo there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I did feel like, oh boy, this is going to go really fast, and I don't want to lose the spirit of.
Absolutely,
yeah.
right.
Okay, great. And then I'm really feeling the blue, that like bending, on make some noise, get in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and somebody made a observation to me that I changed the rhythm at some point. I didn't realize when the chorus comes back with it, to make some noise, get in trouble, rather than make some noise, get.
Right. Okay.
There's a difference there, so I'm going to have to straighten that out some kind of way. The bass rhythm is different from the soprano, alto, tenor. When the get comes a bit later with the soprano, alto, and tenor on an eighth note rather than a quarter note, which.
But your intention was to keep them lined up as it was before?
Not necessarily. It wasn't. I don't know what my intention was. I like the one. I'm not opposed to the soprano, alto, and tenors after that 4-measure repeated section. When the sopranos come back with that melody, they can do the same rhythm that the basses did.
Okay.
No, it doesn't bother me. Actually, I'm going to change it to that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is good. This is good. This is good. See, I'm just looking through the score to see if there's anything else that I want to ask you. And I appreciate that you said, solo or small group for the soprano.
Yeah, one is if you got a good strong soprano and she can improvise against what the choir. I mean, that my suggestion is just really is what I said, suggestion.
Okay.
But that should be almost a wailing against what the choir.
Maybe Candace, is that you?
I'll be ready. If we don't have anyone else, I will be ready.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Very good. And I love the close. The close is just, whew, it really closes it up with power.
Oh, well, I tried. I wanted that sandwich there. Actually, I thought I was going to move the choral section to the end. And I mean, initially, I hadn't decided the order of the sections, and I played with them I was going to start with the little rap section. After the introduction was set.
Mm-hmm.
And the ending was set because I wanted that done. But the switching of the other 3 sections in there, I wasn't sure about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I think you did it the right way.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just so thrilled about this opportunity.
I hope this works for you. The interview is okay.
Oh, yes, I'm sure it's going to be fine. And I'm really looking forward to being together on Juneteenth, June 19th, with you, Roland, and you, Candace, to make some wonderful music together. We will.
Thank you very much, Lolly. So my pleasure being with both of you.